While we see that a lot of anger and outrage and frustration was sparked by the barbaric murder of George Floyd, it's also clear to me that we have been sitting in our homes, navigating the pandemic, dealing with loved ones being sick, and dealing with a great deal of fear and concern about what the day and the future will hold. We have millions of people who have lost their jobs and filed for unemployment and are living paycheck to paycheck and hand to mouth. And I believe they're just thoroughly fed up and thoroughly beside themselves with grief and concern and despair because the government does not have a plan of action that is dignified and comprehensive and seeks to address the core concerns of the average American. These protests are different because they are marked by a period that has been deeply personal to millions of residents of the United States and that has them more sensitive to what is going on. People who would normally have been at work now have time to go to a protest and have time to think about why they have been struggling so much. They are thinking, this actually isn't right. And I want to make time, and I have the ability to make time now and make my concerns heard. People are absolutely lifting up names like Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd. But I think they are very clearly in the streets for themselves and for their family members because they don't know who is next. And they are also concerned about the economic realities they are faced with. This is a war on Black life. And people understand that this system is filled with all sorts of inequality and injustice, and that implicit bias and just outright racism is embedded in the way that policing is done in this nation. And when you think about it historically, it was founded as a slave patrol. People recognize that. But I would say there is something about the economic conditions, in addition to the lethal force we are seeing every day, that makes this moment feel different. People are making different kinds of demands. We have been calling for the defunding of police, a moratorium on rent, a moratorium on mortgages and utilities. We need not to have people's utilities shut off, their light, their water, and just basic needs that people have. So our demands are reflective of the fact that when we started Black Lives Matter, it wasn't solely about police brutality and extrajudicial killing. That was a spark. But it was very intentional for us to talk about the way that Black lives are being cut short all across the board. You can talk about the quality of our life in terms of housing and education and healthcare systems and the pandemic. So for us, it has been more comprehensive than just the criminal justice system and policing. It's bigger than that. What we are witnessing now is the opening up of imaginations, where people are beginning to think more expansively about what the solutions could be. We have our solutions. We want the rights of protesters to be respected. We want a divestment from the police and an investment in Black communities. We are demanding immediate relief for our communities. We want community control. We want an end to this war against Black people. So we are clear in our demands, and each city has its own unique demands. I don't just equate loss of life and loss of property. I can't even hold those two in the same regard. We are focused on the main thing, which is people, and we want to value our love of people over property. Concern about the pandemic is high, but people are also very clear that you can sit at home and also be affected by this illness, or you can go out and fight for a chance to live a full life of dignity, and they're willing to risk it. I think we have to sit with the profundity of this moment and what it really means for people to say, you know what? We are in this health crisis, yet I cannot stay in my house. There is too much at stake. I am going to make an informed decision, and I am going out against all odds because it is worth it, and the status quo is intolerable. I am really amazed and so moved by the thousands, if not millions, of courageous people who have made the decision to go to the streets. I am so in awe of them. They are so brave. Those are the people our country has needed for so long. People are doing their best to be safe at these rallies and marches. I have seen a lot of that, and I am grateful for it. One thing I just want to underscore is that the world is watching us. We see these rallies in solidarity emerging all across the globe. People are really trying to show up in this moment for Black people. I also think people are looking at the United States and think that we weren't able to have a comprehensive plan to deal with the pandemic. They are watching how over 100,000 people have died so far, and they're also seeing the racial dimensions of it. Almost a third of the people dying have been Black, and we are only 13% of the population. So much of this is inconceivable, but it is staring us right in the face. So I think there's a lot of pressure that is mounting in this moment. This is just the beginning.